Bone, you caught your breath yet from this flurry of activity the last few days?
Trying to.
Well, let's jump
It's
right
been pretty
in.
busy.
Yeah, man, I'm telling you, we're going to get to Robinson and Kennedy, and we're going to start with Robinson because I knew he was in town yesterday. I really felt good about Alabama's chances. We had talked about it, but I had no idea he was going to commit yesterday. But by gosh, you were on top of this one. You broke it on BamaInsider.com. His coach had him on FaceTime on the phone from here in Tuscaloosa when they were in the weight room there at Jackson Olin, and you were listening as he committed. I don't know where to start. I said I'm driving the bus for Quandarrius Robinson. You're riding shotgun. We both love this guy. I've loved him for a long time, not just because he's a good football player now, Bone, but I said he's not probably not even 220 pounds at 6'5", but he's got broad shoulders. He's got a big frame. I think he's going to play at some point like Terrell Lewis at over 250. He's number one player in the state. Just how big, former Auburn commitment, how big is this commitment for the Crimson Tide in your opinion?
Well, it's a huge commitment. I think Alabama's got a lot of recruiting momentum right now, and we knew that Quandarrius was coming in for an unofficial visit yesterday, and he was going to spend 2 days in Tuscaloosa. And he had just come off an official visit to Kentucky, and had a lot of high remarks about his trip to Lexington, and has an official visit scheduled to Auburn this weekend and to Tennessee next week. But he called his coach yesterday afternoon and just said that he was ready to go ahead and end it. That he knew where he wanted to go, that he felt like this was the right time to go ahead and commit, and he went ahead and announced it. His coach called me up yesterday afternoon, Coach Tim Bakakis, and said that they wanted to do something. He always, anytime a commitment happens at their school, they always want his teammates to be involved, whether that's holding a press conference at the high school or whatever it may be. And Quandarrius said that he was ready to go ahead and commit. He wanted to go ahead and announce his decision. And Coach Bakakis said, "All right, well, what we can do is, we can FaceTime. We can get all your teammates here. We can get them together, and we'll do a little FaceTime video and have someone else film it." And when they did that, Coach Bakakis sent me the video and said, "Hey, he's committed.
Wow.
You can run it. Just go ahead and do it. Get it out there." So he sent it over to me. We ran with it, and yeah, I mean, obviously a big commitment for Alabama. Kind of an elite pass rusher, but he's 6'5", 200, and I think he's right at about 220 pounds right now, and definitely going to continue to gain some good weight over the course of the next couple of years. I mean, he's an edge rusher, but he's he's one of those kids that can play outside linebacker. He's definitely got a lot of speed, quickness, and definitely somebody that Alabama has targeted for a long time. As you mentioned, he's a former Auburn commitment, and once he decommitted from Auburn back in January, everybody kind of assumed that he was going to end up at Alabama. He took several trips to Tuscaloosa, just had a great experience down there, and he just really developed some strong relationships. Salson Siri and Carl Scott, both those guys really did a great job recruiting him for the last several months, and really they were able to flip him away from his commitment from Auburn, and then end up getting his commitment a little bit down the road. So we'll see if he ends up taking any more visits. I think with Alabama's linebacker class right now, the way it is, there's just so many players that are in there, in the class right now. Plus, he's got some other guys that they're still recruiting. I think Nick Saban and the coaching staff is going to be pretty stern with him about not taking any more trips, because if he continues to take some visits, they could potentially miss out on some other kids. If he ends up deciding to flip down the road, they may miss on another kid that they heavily recruited, because of that. So I think, especially at the outside linebacker position, I think they're going to basically tell a lot of these kids, you're done. If you want to be committed, you're done taking visits, because we just, we're pretty full at that position.
Yeah, great work by you, Bone. It's very, very tough in this day and age to break a a commitment of that caliber, but you were able to do it yesterday because you'd forged a great relationship with Robinson and with his high school and his head coach. So congratulations on that. The day before, or a couple days before, if Robinson's the top player in the state as a linebacker, then Demouy Kennedy's probably 1B. Another former Auburn commitment, another incredible athlete, can really run. And he commits to Bama and says he's 100%. He's going to shut down his recruiting. Again, Coach Sal heavily involved here with Demouy Kennedy along with Coach Golding. I mean, again, I'm watching both of these guys on video, and I'm no talent evaluator, but I know a good football player when I see one. And Kennedy's another guy that in this day and age, with the way defensive football is played, you have to be able to run. You have to be able to cover sideline to sideline. You got to be able to drop into coverage. He can do it all. He is a tremendous athlete and been compared, obviously, because of being at Theodore High School to C.J. Mosley. But I've read where some of his coaches say he might be a better athlete than C.J., who's the highest paid inside linebacker in the National Football League. How about that one, Bone?
Yeah, he's a tremendous football player, and he went into this past weekend, really not knowing if he even had a spot at Alabama. Alabama wanted to, bring him up, to campus, work him out, see how he did, and just blew the coaches away. He had an incredible performance. I think he measured, right at about a little bit over 6'2", 200 pounds. And he ran a 4.52 40. I mean, they were really blown away by that, and then just had a dominating performance out on the field. And they really like him as an inside linebacker. I know on Rivals we have him ranked as an outside linebacker, but Alabama's recruiting him as an inside backer. The biggest comparison I've heard over the course of the last couple of days is Dylan Moses. Alabama really feels like he's a Dylan Moses type player. It could end up, maybe starting out at outside, but then, while he's on campus for a year or two, potentially grow into that inside linebacker role and run the defense. So, I think that's really what they see in him and in his future.
I mentioned Coach Sal, and again, you had Coach Scott, obviously a main recruiter on Robinson, and Golding on Kennedy. But I said this earlier, Bone, and you know him too. I mean, you're around Coach Sal for 5 minutes, and you're eating the guy up. I mean, this guy is a football coach, hardcore, but he's charismatic, and the thing I like about him, and not every coach can do this, because players respect him so much. He can coach them hard, and he can get in their face, and they know he's trying to make them better. But as a recruiter, you don't always hear him mentioned as one of the top recruiters when we have these recruiting polls. But Bone, he's a special guy to have on your staff, and it's been a huge pickup for Alabama to have him back, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's done a tremendous job so far. Coach Bakakis told me he actually told me a couple weeks ago regarding Quandarrius Robinson. He said it's going to be very tough for him to tell Coach Sal no. He said he just has developed such a great relationship with Robinson that it's going to be extremely difficult for him to say no to him down the road. I remember, Brian Breezy, the 5-star defensive lineman that committed to Clemson. I remember when Coach Sal got hired. I mean, he basically came out and said that was one of his, definitely favorite coaches. I mean, he had such a strong relationship with Brian Breezy as well. He's doing a great job right now. I think that he's going to be able to land some more big-time players in this recruiting class. So, we're watching, waiting to see who ends up committing next. But I think that I don't think Alabama's done even at the outside linebacker position just yet. I think there's some more guys that they're still recruiting that they still like that I think that they feel like they can get.
Well, let me ask you about one of those because Kennedy was a camp standout. So was Will Anderson from over in Georgia, and what does this mean for Will Anderson with Robinson and Kennedy both committing? I thought we might be on recruitment watch for him. What's the latest there?
Well, I think we should still be on commitment watch for him. He is going to take an official visit to Georgia Tech this weekend, and I don't think that has anything to do with Alabama getting a commitment from Quandarrius Robinson or Demouy Kennedy. I think has to do with he was on the verge of announcing for Alabama, and I think he probably told some coaches that, and I think some coaches, different coaches were able to, talk him into taking at least one more official visit. That was to Georgia Tech this weekend. I just don't see Georgia Tech beating out Alabama for, a big time player. I think right now, if Georgia Tech were to get Will Anderson, it probably would mean that Alabama was, pretty full, that they couldn't take anymore. But I don't think that's the case just yet. I think Alabama still, very much would take William Anderson. I think that he certainly still kind of fits in their plans. The problem is you've got so many other guys that are still out there because Alabama absolutely loves Phillip Webb, who's also from Georgia, from Lanier High School. They really like him a lot. I think they're going to continue to press on and continue to heavily recruit him. There's some other guys that are still out there, especially the inside linebacker position, because you've got Justin Flo, the top linebacker in the country, that's going to be making an unofficial visit to Alabama next week and then come back for an official in the fall. Noah Sewell, who's a Rivals 100 linebacker that was in Tuscaloosa last week. They're still, I don't see Noah Sewell as part of Alabama's class, but he's a guy that they're still heavily recruiting, that they would like to get back on campus for an official visit. So you still got a lot of guys that are still out there. So it'll be very, very interesting to see kind of, how this plays out.
All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back with Bone, the first 2021 commitment for the Crimson Tide, some other recruiting tidbits. Will Alabama take a quarterback in this class as spots are getting tight? And plenty more to cover because recruiting is hot right now. And will Alabama possibly catch Clemson for the top overall class? We'll discuss all that with Bone when we come back on the other side of the break here on the Gary Harris Show. As you look at this class, numbers are starting to get tight. Alabama will probably lose two after this season, but that would still leave 3 scholarship quarterbacks. Is there a chance, unless they get a guy or two that they really want, that they could possibly pass on taking a quarterback in this class in the interest of saving the numbers for some other guys that want to get on board?
Yeah, I don't think they will. I think they'll try to get a quarterback, whether that's now or 6 months from now. I think they'll try to get a quarterback. They've got some guys that are coming on campus this summer to work out, and they're going to try to decide if they are going to push for them or not. Obviously, a lot of people have talked about Bryce Young, the USC quarterback commitment, been committed to USC for a long time, and a lot of people have felt like there's a good chance he could end up flipping to Alabama. Now, he seems pretty firm with his commitment to USC, and he's kind of said that the only way he will flip is if, or even visit another school, is if the current coaching staff at USC is not retained. So, obviously there's a good chance that that they're not, because Clay Helton's going to enter the season on the hot seat right away. But obviously, if they end up firing him, a new coach is going to come in, and I'm sure he'll be the first call. He'll be the first person they go see. So I don't think Alabama can bank on that happening. Even bank on an official visit happening. So they're going to have to probably pull the trigger on somebody else. And they've got a couple guys they're interested in. They just haven't been to campus this summer yet. They were hoping some of these guys would make it to camp or last week, but they just haven't been able to. Mason Garcia out of South Carolina is one that they really like a lot. They evaluated during the spring, and they have some high interest in him. They would like for him to come to camp and work out. And I think he's had a few things that have come up this summer so far. I think his school ran a little bit later, and then I think he went on a family vacation. So I think he'll probably end up making it to Tuscaloosa in the next couple of weeks, but just hasn't made it yet. Another kid is Chubba Purdy out of Arizona. His brother Brock Purdy was recruited by Alabama a couple of years ago. Plays at Iowa State. He's being looked at, but at the same time, he needs to come to camp. He would have to work out with the coaching staff before they extend him an offer. And but he's one of those kids that plans on coming to Tuscaloosa in the next week or so to work out. So those are two kids that I would keep an eye on because I know that Alabama's very interested in them. Now, could another kid pop up and really show out and they could end up offering him? Absolutely. But as far as guys that they know that they're very, very interested in, those are two guys to kind of keep an eye out for over the next couple of weeks.
All right, Damian George, the big offensive tackle, commits last week. His teammate Zach Evans, rated by some as the number one running back in the country. I've been hearing some stuff, as we like to say in this business, about Evans possibly being ready to pull the trigger soon for Alabama. Any truth to that?
Yeah, I don't know if he'll commit just yet. I think he'll wait a little bit longer. I think he'll take his official visits. There's a lot of different rumors out there about him right now. And of course, with Damian George committing, and both of them have pretty much said from the get-go that they're a package deal. They want to play together in college. Zach Evans made a trip back to Alabama last week. It was the first time he visited Alabama since last summer. So I think he's still going to kind of enjoy the recruiting process, take his visits, but I really think that Alabama's got a great shot with him, and I just think it'll be probably a little bit longer before he makes a decision.
All right, Bone, just a few weeks ago, it was just kind of a given that Clemson was going to have the number one class. And, I'd read some analysis. There's no way to catch Clemson. They're racking up 5 stars at a record pace. I'm going to say, again, and you know more than me, that's why I'm asking you, but I'm going to say pump the brakes a little bit. If this class continues to build for Alabama the way I think it could, I think Alabama's got a shot still to get that number one class. Is that possible?
I think so. I think they've got a chance, especially with some guys that are still out there. You got big time 5-star kids like Zach Evans and Darnell Washington. You've got some big time guys that are coming on campus this weekend. Justin Rogers, 5-star defensive lineman that's committed to Kentucky. He's making an official visit to Alabama this weekend. Eric Gilbert, 5-star tight end from Georgia, making his official visit to Alabama this weekend. Got a lot of big time guys that are still out there. They're still recruiting. You never know how this class may end up shaping up. Guys that are currently committed who could possibly end up elsewhere. And then the rankings. You don't know who's going to move up and who's going to move down over the course of the next 6 months because there's still a few more ranking cycles. So we'll see some movement, but I definitely think that Alabama's got a chance to really compete with Clemson and Georgia. I wouldn't forget about Georgia because Georgia's going to be able to get some big time guys down the road. I think they've got a good chance to land some good some really good 5-star kids. So I think it's going to be one of those 3 programs in the end. But all 3 of those programs should be very happy when no matter who ends up number one. All 3 of them are going to be pretty happy come signing day. Yeah,
Alabama, Clemson, Georgia, arguably the top 3 programs in the country now on the field and in recruiting as well. All right, a couple more minutes with Bone. Who's the next domino you think will fall in terms of this 2020 class? Any ideas?
It's tough to say. I've been thinking that it's going to be William Anderson, and like I said, he's going to make an official visit over to Georgia Tech this weekend. And then I would look early next week for a possible decision from him, but you just never know what may happen. Anybody could pop at any moment. We just saw Joel Williams, who was a Florida commitment from Baton Rouge, back off his place to Florida the other day, and I think Alabama's in the driver's seat for him. Another kid I'll watch out for this weekend, Kendrick Blackshear, 2021 linebacker out of Texas, made it up to Tuscaloosa last week. Had a great time. Alabama was his top school. He's making it back to Alabama this weekend with his mom. I'd really watch out for that visit because Alabama just got their first 2021 commitment from Latrell McCutcheon, also out of Texas, the other day. I think Kendrick Blackshear could be number 2.
Yeah, that's where I was going next. We got about a minute left. McCutcheon kind of kicks off the 2021 class. Obviously, the first thing you notice is he goes to LBJ High School right there in Austin, Texas. So Texas, I'm sure, isn't going to quit. But this is a long, rangy cornerback. You like him tall at that spot. A long time to go before they can sign in December of 2020 for the 2021 class. But always good, I think, to be that first team that catches a guy's attention. Do you think this will wind up sticking? He says that he's sold on Alabama 100%, but he's going to get a push from those Texas schools, particularly UT.
No doubt about it. But he he actually grew up an Alabama fan.
Okay, good.
That was his dream school. He said he's always cheered for them, and that's where he's always wanted to go. So I think that's a good sign, even though he's in Austin. He's going to get a lot of attention over the course of the next couple of years, but I think he's pretty solid, and good start to 2021. And also watch out for Drake May, quarterback out of North Carolina, younger brother of Luke May, who's starting center at North Carolina the last couple of years on their basketball team. I'd really watch out for him in that 2021 class as well, because Alabama loves him, and he's very high on the tide after coming into Tuscaloosa last weekend.
All right, man, just a jam-packed report. Could have done another half hour with Bone, but we got to wrap it up. BamaInsider.com is where you can find him. Of course, you can get updates on Twitter and Facebook. And as I said yesterday, Bone breaking the Quandarrius Robinson commitment, and you stay on top of it. Give us a little more info on how folks can get signed up on BamaInsider.com.
Well, yeah, just come over to BamaInsider.com. We got a 30-day free trial over there. You can check us out. Great time to sign up right now, because since it's camp season, and get that, take advantage of that free trial. And I don't think people will leave once they stick around for 30 days.
I don't either. Thanks so much, Bone. Talk to you next week.
All right. Thanks, Jerry.